What if Germany had won World War II? This is one of history's most terrifying questions. To imagine such a world, we must change key moments of the past. Let's imagine that in 1940, Operation Sea Lion succeeded, and Great Britain was occupied. And in 1941, German troops enter Moscow. The Soviet Union is pushed back beyond the Urals. The United States, having lost its European allies, remains in isolation. In this alternate reality, the year 1945 looks entirely different. The world is divided into three parts. The Greater Germanic Reich stretches from the Atlantic to the Ural Mountains. Crimea, for example, is transformed into Gotenland, an elite German resort completely cleansed of its local population. France is an agricultural appendage, supplying food and wine. Berlin, renamed to Germania, capital of the world, becomes the center of the new empire. To connect with distant colonies, the Breitspurbahn is designed, a gigantic 3-meter gauge railway with double-decker carriages the size of a house. Italy and Japan are considered allies, but in reality, they are junior partners. Tension hangs in the air. Everyone understands that after the victory over democracy, the former allies will begin to fight over the world amongst themselves. Against them stands the last bastion of democracy, the United States, along with Canada, Australia, and the remnants of the British Empire. The world is not at peace. It is in a state of fragile truce, resembling a giant game of chess. But what is happening inside this new empire? The victory of Nazi Germany would have meant the full implementation of its monstrous ideology. Generalplan Ost would have been carried out. The systematic extermination of up to 30 million Slavic people to free up living space for German colonists. The life of an ordinary person is a life in a glass cage. Imagine a family where a child could report their own parents to the Gestapo for secretly listening to forbidden American jazz on the radio. Any book, from Remarque to Hemingway, is burned. In their place are Mein Kampf and the works of party ideologues. Art consists only of giant statues of athletes and marching soldiers. Science is put at the service of the regime. Brilliant engineers, instead of building bridges, create weapons of vengeance, like the V-2 rockets that wipe cities off the face of the earth. Biologists and doctors in death camps conduct inhumane experiments trying to breed the perfect Aryan race. It is a world where progress serves only one purpose: total control and annihilation. This would not be the Cold War that we know. It would be a confrontation not between communism and capitalism, but between Nazism and democracy. And the main battlefield would be the arms race. In this reality, it would look like a duel between two physicists, Werner Heisenberg, head of the German nuclear project, the Uranverein, and Robert Oppenheimer, leader of the Manhattan Project. It would be a war of spies, where not only loyalty, but also racial purity would be vetted. It would be a propaganda war, where footage of marching columns of the Hitler Youth would be contrasted with Hollywood films about freedom. The planet would live in constant fear that one morning, instead of the sun, a nuclear mushroom cloud would rise on the horizon. The seeds of collapse. But such an empire based on violence would be like a giant colossus with feet of clay. It would be doomed to collapse from within. The economy. The Reich's economy was based on the plunder of occupied territories and slave labor. In peacetime, such a system is ineffective. It would begin to stagnate and crumble without the influx of new resources. Resistance. Partisan movements in the forests of Europe would never have ceased. It would be a perpetual war of attrition, like an unhealing wound on the body of the Reich. The succession crisis. Most importantly, the regime was built around the personality of one man. After Hitler's death, his closest associates, Himmler, Göring, Bormann, would have inevitably started a vicious struggle for power. Picture this: the Luftwaffe under Göring's command fighting against SS divisions under Himmler's command for control of the ruins of Berlin. It would be a brutal civil war that would tear the empire to pieces. Thus, a German victory in World War II would not have led to a 1,000-year Reich. It would have created a monstrous, unstable empire that, before collapsing under its own weight, would have managed to commit unimaginable atrocities and plunge the world into a new, even more terrifying era of fear and oppression. Did you enjoy this journey into alternate history? Then support us with a like and subscribe to the What If channel so you don't miss new scenarios. See you soon!